You need to do these 7 exercises if you're over 50 years old. Many people unfortunately neglect the natural process of muscle mass loss called sarcopenia, which intensifies with age. The relentless passage of time doesn't care about this, and therefore the result? They end up suffering serious consequences over time. General weakness, difficulty performing simple daily tasks, and what many fear most, the gradual loss of independence. The good news is that science has already proven that we can not only slow down this process, but even reverse it. Today, you'll see 7 powerful exercises that, based on science, can literally restore your strength and muscle power, regardless of your current age. And no, you won't need sophisticated equipment or need to go to the gym. But before we begin, please leave in the comments your name and the city from where you're watching our content. Exercise 7, calf raises. Calf raises are an exercise that frequently goes unnoticed, but plays a fundamental role in maintaining mobility and independence as we age. This simple movement works the main calf muscles, the gastrocnemius and soleus, both essential for propulsion during walking, climbing stairs, and maintaining balance. After 50 years of age, the strength of these muscles decreases significantly, which can lead to a slower and less secure gait. Studies published in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity have demonstrated that older adults who maintain strong calves have 30% less chance of suffering falls, one of the most dangerous accidents in this age group. To correctly perform calf raises, position yourself standing, with feet shoulder-width apart, and, if necessary, support yourself lightly against a wall or chair for balance. Slowly raise your heels off the floor, standing on the balls of your feet, and hold this position at the top for 2 seconds, feeling the complete contraction of the calves. Then, lower your heels in a controlled manner until they almost touch the floor, but without completely relaxing the muscle tension. The most common error during this exercise is performing the movement quickly, without control, which drastically reduces its benefits and increases the risk of injuries. Another frequent misconception is not raising the heels enough, limiting the range of motion and, consequently, strength gains. To maximize results, keep your trunk erect throughout the exercise. Don't lean forward. Start with 2 sets of 12 repetitions, with 60 seconds of rest between them, and gradually progress to 3 sets of 15 repetitions. If you feel it's becoming too easy, you can increase the difficulty by holding small weights or performing the exercise on a step, allowing your heels to drop below the level of your toes for greater range of motion. Perform this exercise 3 times a week, preferably on alternate days, to allow adequate recovery of the worked muscles. Exercise 6. Lateral crossover walk. The lateral crossover walk is an extraordinary exercise that we rarely see in gyms, but which offers exceptional benefits, especially for people over 50 years old. This movement works the hip abductor and adductor muscles, essential for lateral body stability during walking and other daily activities. As we age, these muscles tend to weaken significantly, increasing the risk of imbalances and lateral falls. Additionally, the lateral crossover walk intensely activates the core and improves neuromuscular coordination, something that naturally decreases with the passing years. To perform this exercise correctly, start standing, with parallel feet shoulder-width apart, knees slightly flexed, and hands on hips or open at the sides of the body for greater balance. Take a lateral step with your right leg, and then cross your left leg behind your right. Continue this pattern for approximately 10 steps to the right, keeping your trunk erect and your gaze forward. Then, reverse the direction, moving to the left side. The most common error in this exercise is taking very small steps that don't adequately challenge the hip muscles. Another frequent misconception is allowing the trunk to lean to the sides during the steps, which reduces muscle activation and can overload the spine. Try to breathe normally throughout the movement. To avoid another common error, make sure your feet are always pointing forward, not turning outward during lateral steps. Start with 2 sets of 10 steps for each side, with a brief interval between directions. As your endurance and coordination improve, gradually increase to 3 sets of 15 steps. To intensify the exercise, you can add a mini resistance band just above the ankles, which will increase resistance during lateral movements. This exercise can be performed daily, as it doesn't cause excessive muscle overload, making it ideal to incorporate into your morning routine or as a warm-up before other physical activities. Exercise 5. Hanging from a pull-up bar. Relax, you won't need to pull your body weight up as we see people doing in parks and gyms. We're talking only about the powerful act of hanging suspended by holding onto the bar for as long as you can manage. This practice, known among specialists as hanging therapy, has demonstrated surprising benefits, mainly for the musculoskeletal system. A study published in the International Journal of Sports Physical Therapy in 2022 discovered that just 30 seconds of daily hanging can significantly increase shoulder mobility and improve posture in older adults. This happens because when hanging, you naturally decompress the spine, stretch the entire posterior muscle chain, and strengthen the upper body muscles, including those of the rotator cuff, which are fundamental for shoulder health. To perform this exercise correctly, find a stable horizontal bar at an appropriate height that allows your feet to completely leave the ground when hanging. If this isn't initially possible, you can start with your feet lightly touching the ground. Grip the bar with your hands slightly wider than shoulder width, using a grip with palms facing forward. Relax your shoulders downward, away from your ears, and allow your body to be completely suspended, feeling the pleasant stretch along your entire spine and shoulders. The most common error in this exercise is keeping the shoulders tense and elevated, close to the ears, which can cause discomfort and reduce the benefits of stretching. Another frequent misconception is holding your breath. Maintain deep and regular breathing throughout the entire hang. Initially, try to hang for just 15 to 30 seconds, performing 3 sets with complete rest between them. Gradually, increase the time to 60 seconds per set. If you can't suspend yourself completely at the beginning, don't worry. You can also start with partial hangs, where your feet still lightly touch the ground. As your strength increases, you'll naturally progress to complete suspension. A Harvard University study showed that this simple practice can even help recover height loss due to intervertebral disc compression over the years. Perform this exercise daily, preferably in the morning, to start the day with a more aligned spine and more mobile shoulders. Before we continue to exercise 4, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Having constant access to correct information based on science is what will make you progress in the long term in the world of bodybuilding. Exercise 4, glute bridge. The glute bridge is a fundamental exercise to reactivate and strengthen one of the most important muscle groups in the body, especially after 50 years of age, the glutes. This large muscle group tends to weaken considerably with sedentary lifestyle and aging, a phenomenon that physiotherapists call sleepy glute syndrome. Weak glutes not only alter our posture and appearance, but also overload the lumbar region and knees, potentially leading to chronic pain in these joints. The glute bridge reactivates these muscles, improves pelvic stability, and strengthens the posterior chain of the body, essential for basic activities such as getting up from a chair, climbing stairs, and maintaining good posture while walking. To correctly perform this exercise, lie on your back on a mat or comfortable surface, with knees bent and feet flat on the floor, hip-width apart, at a distance that allows your fingers to lightly touch your heels if you extend your arms along your body. Keep your arms extended at your sides, with palms facing down. Contract your abdominal and glute muscles, and slowly raise your hips off the floor, creating a straight line from your knees to your shoulders. At the top of the movement, firmly squeeze your glutes for 2 seconds before slowly lowering back to the starting position, without allowing your hips to completely touch the floor between repetitions, thus maintaining muscle tension. The most common error in this exercise is primarily using the lower back muscles to raise the hips, instead of actively engaging the glutes. To avoid this, focus on consciously squeezing the glute muscles throughout the movement. Another frequent misconception is raising the hips excessively high, arching the lumbar region, which can cause discomfort. Maintain a moderate and controlled elevation, focusing on the quality of movement and correct muscle activation. Perform 3 sets of 12 repetitions, with 60 seconds of rest between them. As your strength increases, you can progress to the unilateral version of the exercise, raising one extended leg while performing the bridge with the other, which significantly increases the intensity of the muscle work. Practice this exercise 3 times a week, on alternate days, to allow adequate recovery and maximize strength gains without overloading the joints. Exercise 3. Mountain climbers. Mountain climbers are another exercise that very few people do, a dynamic movement that works multiple muscle groups simultaneously. This exercise deeply engages the core, including abdominals, obliques, and lumbar muscles, while also intensely working quadriceps, shoulders, and promoting coordination between the upper and lower body. The beauty of this exercise lies in its ability to moderately elevate heart rate, also offering a cardiovascular component that few strength exercises can provide. To correctly execute mountain climbers, begin in a high plank position, with hands supported directly under the shoulders, arms extended, and body forming a straight line from heels to head. Your core should be engaged, as if pulling your navel toward your spine. From this position, bring one knee toward your chest, keeping the foot slightly above the ground. Return this leg to the starting position while simultaneously bringing the opposite knee toward your chest, creating an alternating movement similar to running in place, but in a horizontal position. The most common error in this exercise is allowing the hips to rise or sink during the movement, losing proper body alignment. Always keep your hips at the same height, parallel to the floor, as if balancing a cup of water on your back. Another frequent misconception is performing the movement too quickly, sacrificing quality for speed. For people over 50 years old, it's fundamental to maintain a controlled pace, ensuring proper muscle activation and reducing the risk of injuries. Start with 3 sets of 30 seconds of continuous movement, with rest intervals of 60 seconds between sets. As your endurance improves, gradually increase to 45 seconds and eventually to 1 minute per set. Since this is a relatively simple exercise, try to perform it 3 times a week. Exercise 2. Push-ups. This classic movement develops functional strength in the upper limbs, shoulders, chest, and core, areas that naturally lose muscle mass with advancing age. A study published in the Journal of Gerontology in 2023 showed that older adults capable of performing at least 10 push-ups exhibited significantly more favorable aging biomarkers when compared to their sedentary peers. Even more impressive, Harvard researchers discovered that middle-aged men able to perform more than 40 push-ups had 96% less risk of developing cardiovascular diseases in the following 10 years, compared to those who couldn't complete 10 repetitions. I think that's enough to make you start today, right? So, to correctly execute push-ups, you can start with a modified version, supporting your knees on the floor if necessary. Position your hands slightly wider than shoulder width, with fingers pointing forward. Keep your body straight, from your knees or feet in the complete version, to your head, engaging your core throughout the movement. When lowering, bend your elbows, keeping them at approximately 45 degrees from your body, neither too wide to the sides nor too close to the trunk. Lower until your chest almost touches the floor, and then push yourself back to the starting position, fully extending your arms without locking your elbows. The most common error in push-ups is allowing the lumbar region to sag, creating excessive curvature in the spine, or letting the hips rise, losing proper body alignment. Another frequent misconception is performing only half the range of motion, not lowering enough or not fully extending the arms at the top. Inhale as you lower and exhale as you rise, avoiding holding your breath during the effort. Start with 2 sets of as many repetitions as you can perform with good form, even if initially only 3 or 4. Over time, progress to 3 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions. Progression is fundamental in push-ups. Start by supporting your hands on a wall, then on a stable bench or table, advancing to push-ups with knees supported on the floor, and finally, to complete push-ups. For those who already master standard push-ups, variations with elevated feet can offer new challenges. Perform this exercise 2 to 3 times a week, always allowing at least 1 day of recovery between sessions to maximize strength gains and minimize the risk of overuse injuries. Exercise 1. Traditional squats. Squats are frequently considered one of the most fundamental exercises for maintaining independence and functionality as we age. This multi-joint movement works practically the entire lower body, quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, and core, while also improving hip, knee, and ankle mobility. For people over 50 years old, the ability to perform squats is directly related to the ability to rise from chairs, get in and out of cars, and perform basic household tasks without assistance. The strength generated by this exercise also contributes significantly to bone density, combating osteoporosis, a particularly concerning condition in this age group. To execute a squat correctly, position yourself standing, with feet approximately shoulder width apart or slightly wider, depending on your comfort and mobility. Your toes can be pointed slightly outward, about 5 to 15 degrees. Keep your chest elevated, shoulders back and down, and gaze directed forward. Initiate the movement by pushing your hips backward, as if sitting in an imaginary chair, while bending your knees. Lower as far as you can while maintaining a neutral spine and heels on the floor. For many beginners, this may be only a quarter or half of the complete squat, which is perfectly acceptable. Then, push through your heels to return to the starting position, contracting your glutes at the top of the movement. The most common error in squatting is allowing the knees to collapse inward during the descent or ascent. Always keep your knees aligned with your toes, never letting them go much beyond the line of your toes. Another frequent misconception is raising your heels off the floor, which can overload the knees and reduce glute activation. If you have difficulty keeping your heels on the floor, don't lower as much in the movement or place a small support, such as a thin board, under your heels while working on your mobility. Many people also make the mistake of rounding their back during the squat, which can cause spine injuries. Always keep your chest elevated and spine in a neutral position. Start with 2 sets of 10 repetitions, resting 60 to 120 seconds between them, and gradually progress to 3 sets of 15 repetitions. To initially facilitate the movement, you can perform squats, supporting yourself on a stable table or chair back, which offers additional support. As your strength and confidence increase, gradually remove the support. Since this is a compound exercise that recruits large muscle groups simultaneously, perform this exercise twice a week, giving adequate time for muscle recovery between sessions. To increase the challenge without adding weight, you can incorporate pauses of 2 to 3 seconds in the lowest position of the squat, which significantly intensifies the muscle work. If you like this, and also want to discover 5 isometric exercises, those where you stay still holding a certain position, that will change your entire body, we've left a video appearing right now on the screen showing and explaining each one of them. Don't miss it. Thank you for watching until here, and may God bless you, my friend.